Now let's talk vertical stretches and shrinks. So remember that a vertical stretch or shrink is multiplying some number a times the entire function. So let's take a look at what that is going to do for us. We have our original function, negative 5x, a linear function that has a slope of negative 5. We want to vertically shrink it by a factor of 1/4. So remembering that this affects the entire function, we can write g of x as 1/4 f of x. Now we're going to substitute in what we know f of x to be, which is negative 5x. So writing that for our actual function, we get g of x is equal to 1/4 of negative 5x. And we'll put that in some parentheses to indicate that multiplication. Finally, g of x, if we multiply 1/4 times negative 5, we get negative 5/4x. Now let's look at a vertical stretch. We are starting with the function absolute value of x plus 3. Close up your absolute value bars, and plus 2 tacked onto the end. So this function has translated to the left by 3 and up by 2 to start. We want to stretch it vertically by a factor of 6. So we can write our g of x as 6 times our function f of x. Now, our function f of x is this entire thing. We have something in absolute value bars and something outside of absolute value bars. We're going to have to multiply everything by 6. So it's going to look like this. G of x is equal to 6 times this entire f of x function. So I'm going to add some parentheses here so that I can put x plus 3 in the absolute value bars and plus 2 and then close up those parentheses. Remember that 6 affects both pieces, both the absolute value piece and that 2 that is added to the end. So now we need to distribute. We will distribute the 6 to the front of the absolute value bars. And we will also distribute the 6 and multiply it by 2. That is kind of a rule of absolute values. You cannot distribute into the absolute value bars. Consider those to be rigid. You can't bring things in and out of them. So our final answer is going to be 6 times the absolute value of x plus 3. Cannot mess with that absolute value. It's got to stay like it is. And then plus 12. So you do not take another step of taking the 6 and distributing it to the x and the 3. It has to stay x plus 3 in absolute value bars.